Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. I always have a few different projects on the go at any one time. Normally, one or two will come to the forefront, for example my HeroQuest restoration project, or my current efforts to paint all of Warhammer Quest Cursed City using Army Painter speed paints, but there are usually several others that are just bubbling along in the background. One of those projects at the moment is Advanced Heroquest. So today I just thought I would speak very quickly about the current state of affairs with my copy of Advanced Heroquest. Long-term subscribers may remember that last year my good friend Dale Lewis donated his copy of Advanced Heroquest to the channel, and it was, to put it kindly, well played and much loved. Certainly in need of a little bit of love and attention to restore it to its previous glory. And here we have that copy of Advanced Heroquest, which is very much in a state of disrepair. I think a lot of people will appreciate that the boxes for old Games Workshop games like Advanced HeroQuest, like Advanced Space Crusade, were not sturdy boxes. They were cheap, made with very thin card, prone to dishing, where if you put anything heavy on top of them, the top of the boxes would bow almost instantly, and the corners would rip because they were all just folded card. And if we take the lid off of this particular example and have a look inside, you can see how these boxes are constructed. They are just folded card, so you can actually unfold them. You can take the flaps, pull them out, and unfold the whole thing. This can actually help with restoration because you can take it back to a completely flat state, like so. And that's very good because that makes it much easier to press everything flat, because you can, to a certain degree, restore bowed boxes like this. If you dampen them up, if you put some weight on them, you can flatten them back out. You may have seen previous videos about how I do this. But for those of you who haven't, it's an incredibly simple process. First of all, I soak the card with something like Febreze. This is a fabric freshener, and I use this to soak the card to make it nice and malleable. And then we get some good old-fashioned grease-proof paper, or you may know this as parchment paper. And this gets placed over the card, which is now obviously damp. And then you stack some books or something on it, and the greaseproof paper will stop the books sticking to the card or will stop the card getting damaged, and hopefully it should straighten out at least to a certain degree. The next thing to look at resolving are the corners, and these are tricky. I'm losing bits of the lid there behind me, but yeah, these are tricky to deal with because the card is so thin. It's very difficult to try and get a good adhesion to glue it back together. With a thicker box lids, I have shown in previous videos how you can glue them back together. This is not so easy, and I think pretty much what you have to do is rely on putting card inserts inside the corners. So you'll cut some card, you will apply it to the inside edges and glue it in place, just to give that extra rigidity that you're going to need for these corners that just isn't there anymore. But also, we have here mould. This can happen if you store your games in the attic or the cellar for long periods of time, and it can be a bit of an issue. You don't really want mould in your games. But what is the point that I'm getting at here? I'm getting at the point that I'm not even going to bother trying to do anything with that. It is a mess. I have this. Yeah, I basically decided that the previous copy that I had, the box itself was a lost cause, and I purchased a replacement one on eBay. In fact, as generous as Dale's donation was with his copy of Advanced Heroquest, there were a few things that I did need. Obviously, I was looking for a replacement box. The second thing I was looking for was a replacement rules book. The rules book that I had was in a very bad condition. It had a few pages missing, it had some rips, it also had some more mould. Finally, and one of the most difficult things to source actually, I needed shields for the henchmen. The game ships with 12 of these amazing henchman miniatures, and they're supposed to have shields. There were different shields thrown in with the box depending on when the box was produced. Normally it was a set of Bretonnian shields, sometimes it was a set of dwarf shields. I didn't really mind which I had, but I was missing a few. They are very expensive to source on eBay. In fact, trying to buy just the box, just the rules book, and just the 12 shields for the henchmen came to quite a considerable total. It was so much, in fact, that I ended up buying a complete second copy of the game. I managed to get a good deal and picked it up for £64. That is actually a really good deal for a complete copy. And that worked out far less than buying the things that I needed separately. It also, of course, granted me extras of everything. Extra room tiles, extra miniatures, extra tokens. So what I was able to do was compile a mega set, really. I took all the best components from both of the copies that I had to make one amazing copy. Furthermore, I kept all the extras. I kept the extra rooms, the extra passages, the extra doors, because all that stuff is super useful. And if I lift the lid of this box, we are jam-packed. We now have a really nice condition copy of the rules. This was a big thing for me. I do have a PDF which has the original rules book. It has the rules book for the expansion Terrors in the Dark. It also has all of the content from every White Dwarf magazine that featured Advanced Heroquest content. I already have that as a PDF. I'm going to print it off at some point, and I occasionally print out odd pages from it for things like character sheets. But I am a stickler for having original components, and I did want an original copy of the rules as well, and this one is really nice. It doesn't even have pencil marks on the map on the back page. I don't know how anybody had a copy of Advanced Heroquest without pencil marks on that map. It's just something you expect to see. But very happy to have a really good condition copy of the rules. And yes, I now have a complete set of Skaven with shields, a complete set of the henchmen with their shields. I have an almost full set of the Bretonnian versions of the shields. I had to use one dwarf shield that I had in my bits box for the last one. And I have a set of the 4 heroes with their shields. I have doubles on all of the room tiles, so that's 6 of the large ones, I think 8 of the small ones, 2 of the round ones. I have all of the extra tokens and things in a bits tray underneath here. And the copy that I bought off of eBay actually had doubles of some tokens, which leads me to believe that the copy that I purchased actually had a few tiles from the expansion Terrors in the Dark thrown in as well, because things like the rope bridge, extra portcullises, extra pit traps were all included in that expansion as well. Unfortunately, the copy didn't include a full set of Terrors in the Dark, because that would have been the score of the century, because that is an incredibly rare expansion and sells for a stupid amount of money considering it's just a few tokens and a rules book. In terms of restoration itself, there's not a lot I'm going to be doing to this copy, and not a lot that needs to be done. I'm doing a few things, like I have printed out from the rules book all of the different monsters, and I've put them in sleeves. That's something I've been doing. I'm in the process of printing out all of the henchman cards and hero cards and laminating those, so I just have those easily to hand. And of course I'm going to paint all of the miniatures. You will notice that even this new version of the box that I have still has some crumpling on the one edge and also dishing on the lid. I will be sorting that out. I'm going to try and press it flat. But one of the big problems with these boxes is if you restore them, they tend to revert to their damaged state because they are so flimsy, they are so weak. Really, what would be ideal is if I could find a sturdy cardboard box, the exact dimensions of the internal dimensions of this box, so that I could put it inside and use the Advanced Heroquest box as a decorative sleeve. But regardless, I don't need to worry too much about the box because it is only going to hold the tokens and the tiles and the cards. All of the miniatures will end up magnetized and put into storage trays. And part of the reason, of course, is because I am purchasing additional miniatures as well. One of the joys of Advanced HeroQuest is trying to source all of the Oldhammer miniatures to fill out the full roster of enemies and henchmen. And that, of course, is an ongoing project which is probably going to take me years and years and may never be complete because there are so many miniatures and they are so expensive. But what I am doing is every now and again, when I see one pop up on eBay that I really need to add to my collection, I am purchasing it and I am adding it to my collection here. I have a Tupperware tray full of metal miniatures that have all had Dettol baths and are waiting for me to get to painting. These are mainly Skaven, and I have shown all of these miniatures here in previous videos, although I have acquired 3 new ones since the last time I did an Advanced Heroquest update. First up is this little guy. This is just one of the Giselle team miniatures. He has a rest because I already have a miniature with a Giselle rifle, and I needed a rest to go with him. Not particularly exciting, but this is an old miniature. All of the stuff that I am adding to my copy of Advanced Heroquest is an Oldhammer miniature. I'm not buying anything new. Next up, I grabbed this sorry looking fella. His name is actually Glum. He is from the Citadel Feudals range. I think it was code F4. He is supposed to have a shield. I do have a shield to go on that peg. He is used in the Advanced HeroQuest expansion as a human sergeant, and I thought it was such a cool miniature, I wanted to add it to my collection. He just looks so sad and lost. And lastly, we have the Jewel in My Crown, one of my favourite miniatures ever. This is a vampire. This is another enemy that turns up in the expansion. It's from the Night Horror set of miniatures, and I absolutely love it. I was hunting for this miniature for a very long time because it doesn't turn up that frequently on eBay. It's pretty difficult to source, and I managed to get it for a good deal. I think it was £10 in the end, which is a bit of a steal because I really had a lot of trouble acquiring it, and it was right at the top of my list of things that I wanted. But there we go, that's the current state of play with Advanced HeroQuest. Thanks to the generosity of my friend Dale and a good deal on eBay, I have a really good condition copy, complete with extras of almost everything, in a surprisingly good condition box, although we do have, as I mentioned before, some dishing. The corners themselves, surprisingly good, surprisingly sturdy, so I am going to attempt to straighten out that dishing, but I am not going to unfold the lid. I'm not going to risk causing any damage to those complete corners. I'm just going to do a press on the lid to sort that out. But there is just one more thing I want to try. This mould on the old lid. Is there anything we can do about that? What the heck? Let's blast it with some mould and mildew remover and see what happens. It's really soggy now, so we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone and try and press it at the same time. And now we play the waiting game. And here we are the following day. I left this pressed overnight. It is now completely dry, and we can see much flatter on the surface, and inside we still have signs of that mould, but the mould is much better. One thing I would say to watch out for, because this card is so thin, if you really spray a lot of moisture onto this card, it can crinkle. It can, as it dries, form a little ripple wave across the card surface. You can see that has happened to a certain extent here, even though it was dried flat, pressed under books, and you can see it a little bit more on this side. If I try and angle it towards the light, I don't know if it's going to come out on camera, but there is just a few little waves in the card, and that's probably just from getting too wet. So it may be a case of, when you're flattening these out, just use the finest of misting to dampen it, press it. If it hasn't worked, dampen it again slightly. Don't go for a really heavy dose of moisture on there, or you may have problems. In terms of the mould, it's still not perfect in there. It's certainly better than it was, but I think that was worth checking out. But I think I've probably spoken for long enough in this video, so I'm going to leave it there for now. I don't know how interesting this has been to anybody, but hopefully somebody has found some of it at least remotely interesting. But that is it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please consider pressing the like button. If you really enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so. And hopefully I'll see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.